All right. Hello and welcome to Hacking with the Homies podcast, episode number 13. Mac, how you
Yeah,
feeling?
yeah, I'm
That
good.
answers my question.
Did you feel that? Did you feel like the yeah,
I
yeah,
feel the
yeah?
energy. I feel the energy. Yeah, so today we are in the thick of it. We are leading into our conference, which is coming up on May 11th. Um, hackingwiththehomies.org. Definitely go ahead and check it out if you want to see what we have up and coming this year for you all. But the theme of the conference this year is actually developer to CEO. So I thought maybe today would be a good opportunity for us to even just kind of get that conversation started. And maybe even for you, Mac, I know you were thinking about this as well when we were trying to figure out a theme, like what the inspiration is for this theme, and I guess what our thought process is when it comes to trying to service the community that we have where we are in our journeys.
Yeah, so I think that the whole developer to CEO kind of came from the fact that we just have a lot of founders that are actually kind of growing and kind of becoming either CTOs or CEO. Like it just didn't sound as sexy to say like developer to CXO, but it really the end journey. I think for most of the folks that I talk to, developers, they want to become a CEO. So even if they have to stop and stop by the CTO role for a little bit and then make their journey to the CEO role. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to help people progress in their career, and everybody wants to have ownership. We truly believe in generational wealth, right? That's why we do this,
Yeah,
is to
yeah,
get more people, into technology, get people like, understanding the latest stuff. Because you got to think about, like, see, we really think about the reason why we did this is because when you go to developer conferences, one, the music, the food, just the experience wasn't good. But on top of that, at the end of the day, when you're back in your cubicle or your virtual cubicle, you're working alone, and like it would be great if you had somebody or other people that you can say, hey, what about this issue? Because sometimes, as we both know, that going to our coworkers sometimes kind of shows or at least for me, a lot of times feels like I'm showing them my weakness, and they use that weakness for their own benefit, either doing in the water cooler, talking about you, or doing performance reviews. When they do your review, they'll be like, oh, yeah, Mac didn't know this XYZ thing. I don't think he's a good fit for that because he's not knowing it. So, all these things that we all kind of have dealt with, and really just trying to build a network of developers that can kind of talk and learn from one another.
yeah. The way I don't know. I guess I always kind of see myself where I am personally in my journey as like reflective of a lot of the types of content that we build, right?
Mhm.
So we've had Detroit Black Tech since like 2018, I think I want to say.
Yeah.
Um, and back then I was still kind of junior in my career, but I was transitioning to like mid level, and like you said, we're just seeing like there's just a gap in the skills that, like, for me, I was like, why did I get to this company and I got to this certain type of startup environment where I learned all these different tools and technologies that nobody ever talks about, but like all the big tech companies are actually using them in house. And like, how do we bring that information out? And I would say, even with the theme that we have this year, I'm like, I very much identify with that in my personal journey of, I'm realizing now I've been doing this for almost 10 years. Like, I'm literally 8 years in since had my first official like software engineering role.
Yeah.
And you just have different, you can come to this point where you just have different types of goals for yourself and different types of things that you're trying to achieve. But then it's really hard, because at the end of the day, like you said, you may not feel that connection to the folks around you, to your peers or even mentors. I always had really great mentors, honestly, but it still would be a lot to kind of like you said, expose your weaknesses, and knowing that you'll be evaluated for that, and knowing that there's sometimes different conversations going on that you're not a part of or you're not privy to even be able to speak on your own behalf. So I'm just excited about this, because I know that I know I'm never the only one that's experiencing like a lot of the things that I'm going through. And I always love that with Detroit Black Tech, like we're always thinking about that. Like, developers are always growing and evolving, and we have so much capability in our community, but we just don't necessarily always have the right resources and the right tools, or know exactly where to go for those. So I don't know, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we evolved over the years. I think we've really honed in on the type of person that we're really looking to serve. Um, and I'm hoping to go like deeper, because if you kind of look at like the stuff that we do now inside of the MVP space, inside of Detroit ecosystem, um, it's more work to do. Is what I'm getting at. Like,
Hmm.
we have a lot of we right now, we actually are probably, most of the people we're dealing with are corporate developers. So developers that work for a corporation or company for the most part. Um, but obviously there's a big ecosystem going on here in Detroit, a bunch of startups, which is great, a bunch of black and brown startups, which is even greater. And we need to have, black and brown developers to support them. So I think that's really where our mission is, and has been for a bit. But I think I want to stretch people, right, to start thinking about what does it look like after I become a CTO and I want to start leaning into becoming a CEO.
Hmm.
What does that all mean? So I think you guys are going to be excited when we announce our keynote speaker. It's going to be great. We try to keep, like, I mean, we people fly people in all the time. I think we have so, like, to your point, Jessica, we have so many people here that we just see in passing that are really doing big stuff.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? So I think bringing them home, in the sense of speaking, to the conference makes a lot of sense for us, to do. And I think, again, and here goes the other thing. For those out there listening, uh, like, drop us a line, right? Drop us a line and let
Hmm.
us know, like, do you see this conference valuable to you? Like, go to hackingwiththehomies.org. Obviously, grab a ticket. And if you don't want to grab a ticket, at least let us know, um, how you feel. I guess our email address is info at detroitblacktech.org. But just let us know, like, what do you want to see in the conference? What do you want it to be in the next 5 to 10 years? We really want your feedback. Even if you have never came to the conference ever, let us know what you want to see and maybe why you haven't came to the conference. So, that's one of my asks. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we do have those folks that we see in passing all the time. And Um, I guess something I noticed and finally started to realize after getting some years in the industry was just how relationship driven a lot of opportunities are. And so that to me is like a game changer when you say, hey, not I mean, we're going to announce our keynote and everything, but just knowing that there's other, other folks in our community, even right here in the city of Detroit, who are doing amazing things. And yet you can also actually network with this person. You can get to know them. You can follow what they're doing. You might be, one connection, two connections away from all of these amazing folks, and you just, maybe not even realizing it. So I love that our community is continuing to grow and evolve. The tech space is definitely getting invested into here in the city of Detroit. But like you said, there's still so much work to do. And I do see us as an organization being one of those that just wants to like continue to drive that forward in whatever way possible. So getting the right people in the room, getting the right talks on stage, getting the right, like even with us doing this podcast is like, I really appreciate just being able to constantly keep in touch, continue to evolve. We will be we're actually going to be um we're moving our Slack group into Discord. So we're going to be getting a lot more involved just in our, just being able to connect in between all these different opportunities that we have. But like I said, for me, I realized it was you really go in feeling like it's all merit based. I just have to prove myself. And it's like like yes and almost because you do need to have a certain skill set, but like honestly, if you know the hiring manager or if you have a one-on-one connection with someone that you can ask personal questions to, that you can get advice and like, Mac, we've been connected for so long now. It's like a lot of things that I've been able to grow into or even didn't even think existed or didn't even know that I could do has come from me being able to see how you run business and different opportunities, or you keying me into different things that could be good potentials for me. So I just know not everybody has that, and how valuable that is.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of it comes for me comes from the fact that I didn't have anybody really. I'm trying to think. I didn't have any good mentors. Nobody's ever, where even when I worked places, nobody ever came to me and says, I want to take you under my wing and show. It was only one time I had my one buddy. He's my buddy to the day. His name is Eric Eham. His name's Eham, but Eric Hamilton. And he saw me. This was in 19. Was it 19? This was like 1997, right before I graduated from college, and he was working at EDS, Electronic Data Systems, was owned by GM at one time, and he saw me in the hallway. And he was like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on? You want to go to lunch?" And he was the only other black guy that was there, and that was the best time. We was listening to the Two Live Crew on the way out the parking lot. We was like kicking it. But that was when I realized that yes, mentorship and having people representation matters was a thing that kind of hit me. At that time, it didn't hit me. I was just like, oh man, there's another black guy there, and we gonna kick it. But representation matters, and then giving back and trying to give opportunity is the key thing. I'm not, and I realized that when we first started Detroit Tech, I think we had this big grand old idea of what we were going to do, and then we just realized, man, developers are the ones that are looked at as tools.
Hmm.
And we're just, it's like you need to build this thing. Well, let's pull our Jessica off the shelf and give her something.
Yeah,
And I
that's the
think
one that one does that one trick. Yeah, put that one in there. It's like, put those
right.
two together, they're gonna be good. And yep.
Yeah. But I think it's much more than that, obviously. And I think it's important that we start growing in this ecosystem,
Yeah.
hence the whole thing from developer to CEO.
So on that same token, I guess, like what it's a big question to ask. What really does it take to go from like a developer to a CEO? I know not everyone knows your background, Mac, but I know personally like how you have your own businesses and different things like that. So like from your perspective, like are you seeing certain gaps or opportunities for those of us that are up and coming right now? And like I said, I've been doing this for 8 years now. So I kind of feel like I'm stagnating a little bit.
Yeah, so I think the problem is that um, that is how I truly feel. I believe software development, for the most part, is becoming very much a commodity. And I think that from both sides, from people who are using us as developers and from our side of being developers, we're like, oh man, okay, it's gonna be what is it gonna be? Oh, okay, we're gonna build another marketplace app. Okay, let me let me get my two widgets together and make them talk and all that good stuff. So I think what I think the value proposition, the superpower of developers is that you know I think combining that with some particular deep industry knowledge and coming up with some product or solution that marries those two. Kind of, we'll take like there's a few different examples to take, but I think taking somebody who knows how to do software development and someone that knows how to perhaps have a deep understanding of how to do understand the concept of preventative maintenance in vehicles. I think taking those two and figuring out a solution around it really gives you like the real superpower. Just being a developer now, it's hard to really be um, it's really hard to be known as like being unique these days because there's so
Mhm.
many developers out there. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
it's so like how do you make yourself unique? And that's why I like what we've done is that we've took a segment of them. Like somebody, you just got to find your segment. Like we took MVP developers. We found like, oh, okay, this segment is an underdeveloped, underserved. People don't even understand what that term is, and we really started focusing on that and building a practice around that. I
Right.
think there's other practices out there. I don't know exactly all of them on top of my head, but I think there's certain things out there that can be drilled down into. I think being generous anymore is not necessarily something that's going to bring the most value to you. And I'll
You
say
said
this last
being
thing:
generous?
being a generalist,
Oh,
like a
generalist.
general,
Okay.
yeah, a generalist is not necessarily the thing that's going to make you the most money in some cases.
Yeah.
'Cause there's just so many people, and I think this AI, I do believe we're in an AI bubble. I mean, every application that I see from a ecosystem perspective is like it's going to automatically do this using AI and machine learning. I think that sure, I think you should know it. I think you should understand it. I think you should know it's another tool to me
Mhm.
that you can. It's another library that you incorporated in. But I don't know. I just think don't get caught up too much into that because there will be a next wave. And
Yeah.
I think for me personally, and I think Apple sees the same thing because they got rid of their autonomous vehicle thing, and
Yeah.
there's about robots. I think that robots is going to
Okay.
be the next major thing. So we need to go get a DIY robot kit and we need to get
Seriously though, I've
yeah,
been really itching. I have like all kind of boards around like everywhere, just some just peeking out from my desk right now, literally. Raspberry Pis and all kind of other little like controllers and boards and stuff like that. Um, I'm like, I need to make like a little lab. Like that's my goal. Like in my office, it's gonna be just like a little workshop lab. Can just because I'm seeing like, I want to integrate these things together, right? So it's like it's one thing to go ahead and hook up the like I still got the Google voice speaker or whatever somewhere in here.
yeah,
It has a Raspberry Pi inside, then it can run the Google Assistant. But then, like you said, taking that to the next level, and starting to integrate that. So y'all heard it here first. We said this like 5 years ago when we were trying to do when we not trying to, but when we started Train X, we are like,
yeah.
hey, developers need to know how to what? Learn how to use machine learning. It's just like a library. It's a framework. It's just like an integration. This just think of it as an API. Now what is it? Literally freaking APIs. That's it.
Everything's an API now. But I think that somebody needs to come out with the platform to like we need a robot like very similar to a Raspberry Pi. As you can go buy it, it sits there. It's the robot's just sitting there like
Just waiting for you to do.
this waiting for you, like this waiting for you, and then you program it, and then it wakes up and it says, "Hi, Jessica, how are you today?" And you're like, great. And then you can like, let me show you what you need to do today. I mean, that's going to be years, a little bit year, a couple, few more years on the line. But we want to be able to. Robots should be following behind you, and then you kind of show it like, I need you to take out the trash. Okay, Jessica, what day would you like me to take out the trash? And you'll be like, it is Thursday. What time, Jessica? And it should be like that's how it should be. And that's where I see things are going to get real interesting. And I think programmers are still going to be important, but this is where I sometimes get frustrated with my daughter is 10, she's in like a programming class. And to me, it is not true programming because they're just like on, I don't know
Are
what's
they
the
using
pro
like
what is it like
Scratch or something?
they are, but like they go on like, what is it, code, not code 1 3, but it's like
Code.org.
core or something like that. I forget what
Yeah.
it is. And they're just dragging and dropping stuff. And I have to realize that that is what programming is going to become. Very much like how, if I go talk to somebody who's been doing software development for like older than me, they're gonna be like, remember that Fortran when we were sitting there and putting it in, or we were sitting there with assembly language and we're putting it in. It's gonna be that's not our reality now. Like
Right.
like most developers don't understand. Most developers now are in an IDE, and they're writing code that looks
Mhm.
like English, right? and then they're and then they're running their executable. But
Right.
their generation is going to be like, okay, all right, we want the robot arm to move from here to here, and they're going to be just dragging and dropping. So I can't be too mad because that is what the reality is going to be for them.
I mean, so somebody brought this up. I was at an event yesterday, Great Lakes Women's Business Council, and but someone brought up like the idea of like software engineers and with AI, like is our jobs going away and all this. And for me, I'm like, I see that point, and at the same time, I can't help but feel like no, your job shouldn't be going away, but it's more so because of the way that I view software engineering, right? Because I think that there's definitely people who think like, okay, I just need to know Python really good. Like to your point, like I'm very good at writing the writing code part. And rather than when I think about a software engineer, what I think about is a problem solver. Like whatever tools, whatever skills that you need in order to accomplish the goal, being able to acquire those skills, apply them effectively, and then even being able to iterate on that and being able to quote unquote perfect that to some extent, right? That's a mindset. That's a specific skill set that has nothing to do with which programming language you use or what interface you use, right? Because at the end of the day, even when you have a visual interface to program, if you don't understand how you are putting all the pieces together and how all the pieces need to work, I don't care how visual the pieces are, it's still going to be like, you're still going to have a differentiation between the people that can actually build the thing versus the people who I had a lot of experiences when I was teaching early on, and I couldn't figure out like how do people get their code to run and they don't know nothing about what it's doing. And then I would just sit there and observe, and you would be surprised how long someone will sit there and just type and type and type and just keep erasing and putting lines until something works. Oh,
Oh
excuse
yeah,
me.
yeah, no, yep,
So it
I
was just
agree.
mind boggling to me because I was like, okay, that's a different way. It was a trial and error approach, but that trial and error approach honestly got people pretty far. And I don't know, I may be going off on a tangent, but just kind of bringing it back to that whole conversation about like a developer versus a CEO, right? When you're in the day to day and you're in the weeds, and however effective you may be at your job as a developer, when you have a general skill set, you don't have like any industry based knowledge, you don't have any, particular area of expertise, and or you're not able to think about the holistic view of the product itself. You're just mostly thinking of like the features and things like that. You'll have a bigger, it's a much bigger gap to jump over to say, oh, now I want to be a CEO, but I never even had to decide how my feature was going to work on my own. Somebody else, did that for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think So I'm more like the person that you talked about. Like I'm more like the original person. Like I will just throw stuff together and I'll put it out, and I'll see if people buy it. And if they do, cool. I'll keep iterating on it and go from there. Um, and I'm I'm trying to get more discipline in my life, and I think that even now it's I do a lot. I do that still. I just kind of put stuff together and throw it out. But my thing is that I'm not saying that. I don't think we're saying like from developer to like the best CEO. I just want to say, let's just get to the CEO role and figure
Mhm.
out like let's just figure out how to run how to build a product and how to sell your own product or to sell your
Mhm.
own solution. And yes, you won't have all the skills, and I don't want you like Jacqueline Baker has this series that she runs called Just Start. And I just really believe that if we always just keep rethinking um and like doubting ourselves and say, nah, man, I can't do this, man. I'm just gonna keep working for this company. They tell me the feature they want, I go build it, and then I'm on to my day. Like you're never going to really one get the freedom that I think everybody wants, and you're not going to build the generational wealth you want because you're getting only a portion of what this company is making. So don't be scared. Get out there
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
and build something. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And also, here's the deal: it is not that hard to be CEO now. I mean, like really, we could take a room of people that walk in today, and we can go all get LLCs or if we wanted to get C corps. I mean, we can really go do it within a day.
Right.
Like Delaware, you can go online, you can set it up, and you'll be done. We could all be CEOs. So I guess I don't. So
That is very very technically true.
yeah, so we don't so it's not that hard. You know what I mean? It's just like it's just now like you have the technical skills. You may not have all the business skills, but you can at least get started by at least saying, all right, I want to go in this direction. I have the title of CEO because I just paid for it within the day. And then I go build something and put it out there, and then I figure it out. So it's not that difficult. It's just the mindset of getting people just to wrap around that whole thing. And on top of that, man, you know how many people me and you talk to that just like, man, I got this idea for this thing. Man, just go do it.
It's
You know
just
what I
still and
mean?
it's
Like,
still just the idea.
man, let's go do it. You know how to code. Maybe you just went through a boot camp. Maybe you went through Apple Developer Academy. Maybe like whatever just go apply it. You may not
Yeah.
get it right the first time. It's okay. Mhm.
I mean, that's such a good point just because, like, for example, I learned after working for startups for years that they're like what a serial entrepreneur was or serial founders. And like I think I've told this story before, but like my mindset beforehand was like if your company gets bought by someone, that's a failed company. And then I learned that like acquisition is like most people's like end goal, not necessarily to
Mhm.
actually run their company forever, but like to build it up enough that somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to pay for that." Um, and like that was a mindset shift for me. And I just see it so much, like you said, people have ideas, 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 but they never actually go and build it. And if you have the tech skills, like you really don't have anything really holding you back. Like you at the end of the day, because it's the same thing I would preach to any developer that's coming up in the field regardless. You have to build stuff. You have to go out and try it. Like I don't care once you go through your boot camp, once you go through your computer science program, whatever, you go through an internship, like at the end of the day, you have to build stuff in order to gain that expertise and in order to, like you said, it's not going to necessarily work out. That's okay. And the reason why I even brought up that idea of like serial entrepreneurs is that you will notice some of the most successful CEOs right now, they've done this before. Like they've had multiple businesses, they have successes and not and failures, you know what I mean? And all of that is the learning process that breeds that, that long-term success. So I don't know. It's definitely one of those things where you kind of got to get out of your own way and stop trying to be overly perfect about that process. And like you said, build something, because once you build it, it's way easier to figure out, like, is this working or not? What do I need to do differently, etc.
Yep. I all that. I think, yeah, I think that is the big thing. And to me, that is the thing that we have to like get people really just comfortable with. And it's not easy, man. Man,
Mm-mm.
that whole imposter syndrome, man, that's real deal. Like
Mhm.
and I think being in a room with a bunch of people that look like you and probably went through similar struggles that you went through, and hearing people talk about what they do, man, I
It's a game changer.
man, I wish I the game changer, man. I just hope people see the value of this conference, because there's so many things you can do online.
Yeah.
Yes, you can learn a bunch of stuff online, but you can't that feeling, you just that look that feeling of just having people around, and like it's like going to a hype party. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like you like that feeling. You
Yeah.
just you can't. It's just whenever I when you kind of are reaching that point where that feeling, you're like, man, this is like dope. And here goes the other thing. At the conference, we never really had vendors there because I wanted people to really like just soak it in and not worry about like getting a job. So we may have some vendors there this time, but I think I didn't want people to feel like, one, in my brain, and we've talked about this a little, I didn't want people to feel like, oh, I'm going there to get a job. No, I want you to make jobs. I want you to
Right,
be the
right.
person. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. I know people need jobs, but there's other places to go for that.
Yeah, I mean, I always appreciate community. Like a lot of people look at me and they see like, oh, you're doing this thing. Like, I don't mind being on stage. I don't mind being in front of the crowd and everything, but I'm a super introverted person. Like, I like to be at home with a nice setup. You might catch me on Twitch, like, because now that I live stream, I cannot play games like by myself no more. um, so that's a different, you know what I mean? But it's like,
Is
I
that is that
very
because
much,
is that because you don't want to, or just because you want other
I
people to
feel
be
like
around you?
we grew up,
Lonely?
even with you, you're a little bit older than me, but we grew up in the era of like you always had a spectator, like couch spectating or anything when you're playing games. So, I have siblings. So I grew up where it was like it's another person sitting there watching. So, you have somebody to converse with and like, oh, something happens, like you have that shared experience. And then I kind of got used to like playing games solo. And then now I'm just like, I don't even want to play because like I'm talking to myself. And I do play like a lot of single player games. So I'm like, I'm just talking to myself. Nobody saw that happen. Okay. So but I'm very much the person that can like I can stay in the house for like a week straight and just be chill. As long as I got my food and I got everything I need, especially the world we live in. But it's still nothing like going and being in that environment, being in person and being able to really just find somebody and meet somebody that you never would have come across, because a lot of us like we don't we don't see other people like us in the workspace day to day. And just kind of seeing how the more we get in the room together, the more we encourage each other, the more of quote unquote us that we can produce. And when we were doing the MVP day for the last round of founders, um the founder that I was working with, she just looked around. She said, "Where'd all these black developers come from?" I was like, I trained them. She was like,
Right.
"What? People need to
Yeah.
know about this." Like, and I was just like, yeah, man, like it was awesome to hear her say that, but just in the reality of like even someone that was an outsider to our industry could sit there and notice that that was just the abnormal. Like looking around the room and seeing every single developer in that room was a black developer here from our city. And like just we're trying to we're trying to grow the community. So I don't know.
No, it's super dope, man. No, that's super dope. I didn't know that actually that conversation happened. That's super dope. I don't know. I'm just excited and blessed to be here during this time period of Detroit. So I know people don't like our the new letters on 94, but I mean, it's not. but they could have like put some type of lighting on boys. I was texting people like, they don't light up or nothing. I like they could have put some technology in them or something. We could have made them different colors, something. I mean, we could have did something,
A
dog.
lot of
I don't
stuff.
know.
We getting there though. We getting there, and I'm proud because at the end of the day, there's so many other cities you could be in. There's so many though. There's opportunity just across the board, but it's something about like keeping the boots on the ground, at least for me. And I've never lived outside of Michigan, and I'm very much like still exploring that idea. But one of the biggest reasons I've never left is because I just feel very called to being here and continuing to grow what it means to be a black tech, like a black techie in Detroit. And it doesn't have to be this one like box level of experience, but we all have different types of experiences and come from different backgrounds and definitely defy the statistics as far as what people would assume when they think about Detroit and when they think about what it looks like to be somebody in tech. So I'm excited because I just know like once we get, first of all, we getting everybody in the room and it's gonna be warm outside, so that's already gonna change the game.
Change the game. We usually do this in the winter, so this is crazy. But no, this
Yeah.
is great. I'm looking forward to the conference. Um, so let's move to like shameless plugs. So what's going on with you?
Honestly, this conference is so important. But yeah, this conference is so important. That's all I can really say. I definitely have been working, I'm working personally on some stuff. I think I'm going to we have some AI stuff going on, but I have a personal project that I really want to get up and running. And I got found the opportunity to participate in this event called build something. Honestly, I can't even think of the name of it, but basically for like 6 weeks straight I'm just gonna focus on building an AI product, and that's something that is important to me, important to my development. So live streams, metadevgirl.com, or just find me on YouTube, metadevgirl, Twitch, metadevgirl, and I go live every single day. So we're gonna be doing more like tech projects, and I have this dream of like making an actual magic wand, like a Harry Potter magic wand that works. So all I need
Oh,
is like the right sensors and train the model. Yep. And then I'll be
I
like
love it.
Leviosa, and then like my desk gonna go up. By the end of the year, you
No,
gonna see this.
okay. Okay. Oh shit. Okay. All right. So all right. This is funny. I haven't heard that before. We talk a lot, but I have not heard that your fascination with actually having a wand. But that's fine. Um, for me right now is obviously the conference as well, but I have a new podcast called Minimal. Jessica will be
Minimal.
making guest. She'll be making guest appearances. I recorded the first intro for it, or the first like little teaser video around it, so that's going to be dropping soon. But I think that's going to really, it's really focused on founders talking about their experiences with MVP, with building an MVP. It'll be all under all the content will be available through artofmvp.com, and it'll be on a YouTube page as well. But just excited for that. But the conference is the first thing that's up for the next 30 days, because it's 30 days now until the conference. It's
30
April 11th.
days
It's May 11th.
out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So May 11th, y'all will see us. Feel free, like we said, reach out, let us know. I'm so excited to launch the Discord group on the Discord server, just because Slack just hasn't really been it for me personally when it comes to just like us being able to engage as a community. So now that we kind of got some other stuff established, I'm looking forward to bringing everybody into our Slack group, or into our Discord server, getting everybody hyped up for the conference. And, we're continuing to push forward. So let us know what other types of episodes you all want to hear. What topics should we cover? If you follow me, I'll see y'all later for the live stream. And otherwise, we'll see y'all in another episode.
Take care, y'all.